Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to the IndyCar Podcast, and we are back with another kind of topic discussion day.
Topic discussion day.
That's a great way of putting it into a bracket. Obviously, the news that Paretta Autosport, in kind of partnership with Team Penske, will run at the Indy 500 at least, I think with the hope of building into a team that competes at least part-time and then more regularly, seeing how they build and develop over the years into hopefully a full-time seat as well. And their driver is Simona de Silvestro. So with Simona, we thought, well, there have been 10 drivers in the history of IndyCar, 10 female drivers in the history of IndyCar. So we take a look at all 10 of those as opposed to covering the news itself because, well, David Land did a very good job at that. We don't think we could do a better job and add anything different to the party. So we'll leave a link to that video in the description down below if you want to check out the kind of full rundown of news and his thoughts. It gives very good ideas and kind of thoughts of how Simona will do. Like, this isn't like, wow, and amazing. But as you'll see when we go through Simona's kind of stats, she's definitely a decent driver.
But before we get into that,
because we want to make you wait.
We've got some IndyCar news and we've got some Indy Fanatic news.
Oh, yes. Should we start with the IndyCar news?
Yeah, let's. Yeah. And I will kick us off with testing round 2 of the unofficial test that any team could turn up to because they're all signed up, but then they just choose whenever. Yeah, so of course, last week we had Chip Ganassi and I think Carling were there. Andretti are now here with Rossi and Colton Herta, and they went straight to the top. Rossi is now the quickest time from testing, and Colton Herta came in third, making Dixon the Andretti sandwich.
Yes, I mean, Rossi, sandwich. Dixon and Herta, they were so close.
You're probably looking at the title contenders right there, but we don't know what Team Penske, where their place
never rule out the Penske boys.
So, but this season could be incredible.
Could be.
With so many guys vying for the top in form. Towards the bottom end, the other big story from testing is Chris Ware for
Chris Ware? Who's Chris Ware? Cody Ware!
Cody Ware! There we go.
NASCAR driver. Cody Ware!
For Rick Ware Racing. The new team in IndyCar this year in association with Del Coyne. I don't think it's actually been officially announced, but because they spent a whole day testing, I think the team's going to be officially announced in the coming days.
I mean, they rented out, the whole track on the Wednesday.
For themselves.
So, that's a pretty big splurge of money to kind of waste if you're not going to Indy.
Exactly, yeah. Cody had the slowest time, but wasn't too far off Jimmy Johnson, who wasn't too far off Dalton Kellett. So they're not too far off the pace, and with plenty of practice time between now and the start of the season, hopefully they'll close that gap with the rest of the pack. And yes, we're not sure if that is the second Del Coyne Racing seat, if they're only going to have one driver this year and then the Rick Ware seat, or if they're still going to have 2 drivers. But we don't know what their drivers are going to be.
So Dale Coyne, please announce your drivers. Please. It's literally, now that obviously Hinch has been announced, that's another bit of news. It's the worst kept secret in IndyCar. The last kind of really obvious clue there was when Marco Andretti was testing Hinch, his number 29 car.
Yeah.
On the same day that Herta and Rossi were there as well. So that's fantastic news, actually, to have the Hinch down left. But it's also like, Del Coyne, come on! Come on. We want to know who's driving. Come on. Is it Grosjean? Is it Pietro? Who knows?
Both of them?
Is it someone completely different? Who knows?
Who knows?
What's going on, Coin?
What's going on, Coin?
What's going on, Dale? I guess that rounds up the testing news.
That's about it, yeah.
That's the testing news. Other news is streaming service. So for our US viewers, obviously this mainly affects you. Your kind of NBC Gold stuff that you got, which I think was a flat $50 pay rate for the year, is now going to be $4.99 over the course of the year, as NBC look their closing down process of the NBC Sports Network into, they're moving stuff across to the Peacock streaming service. Obviously, if you are an F1 fan as well in the US, I believe the main source of watching Formula One for you guys is F1 TV, so streaming anyway. So if you're that, you may be used to kind of watching live sport on a streaming service. They've got WWE as well on Peacock. And if that's getting you in there as well, you may be. It may be the one that kind of pulls it. I don't know. But anyway, it's an interesting one, because will Peacock be that kind of streaming service that kind of takes IndyCar to the next level? Will people watch it if it's not on broadcast TV? I think actually you're more inclined to encourage younger fans into it. And I don't know if it's the one of any sport, actually, to be fair. I don't know if that's IndyCar's target. You would want to bring in younger fans, because that means that you go, well, if you get them young, then you've hopefully got them for the next 20, 30, 40 years, however many supporting your sport. So, yeah, I think that's a real target area for IndyCar, and going onto a streaming platform, it's the cool thing to do.
The cool thing to do.
The cool thing to do. So, yeah, we'll see how it works. It could be a flop, it could be good. But obviously, as IndyCar fans, we hope it's great, because more people need to see the action.
Yes.
Should we get on with the main topic of the video?
Well, no. We got Indy Fanatics news.
Indy Fanatics news.
Big news breaking across all of the news networks.
Woo.
We're streaming on Twitch every day.
Pretty much.
Not every day. Every weekday. On Fanatics Gaming. Link down in the description. We just play random games. We do some NASCAR on there. If you're interested in that.
Bit of MotoGP, bit of World Rally Championship.
WWE.
We are Peacock. We're streaming it to you. So just watch us for IndyCar next season. That would be a great deal. Far above us.
Excellent.
Right, anyway, I've gone too far.
And then we also have
our Discord, where you can come and chat kind of motorsport. But I think there's even a bit of football or soccer chat in there as well. It's great for people who love motorsport. It's kind of a platform. We've got Fergus Understeer Podcast, who is an F1 YouTuber who basically has set that all up for us. So yeah, we're finally promoting it, because we kind of get Discord, but don't get Discord. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. But yeah, if you want to do it, the links are in the description below, where you can chat to us and chat with other motorsport fans about hot topics or discussions that you want to talk about. Should we get on to the main topic now?
No, we can.
Have we made them wait long enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's jump into it.
So 10 drivers. We're going to give like a brief, like always with the podcast. It's that kind of surface level stuff. We give you a brief kind of overlook, and then you get involved in the comments. Tell us your thoughts on the drivers, and actually it'd be interesting to hear. Obviously, there's clearly the best female drivers that have been in it. Like, there's clear ones you could see, and some who weren't so good. On that, not quite. For that, but we'd like to hear who your favourites were below, and obviously, are you happy to see the return of Simona? So, starting off with Simona, let's have a brief overview. If you follow us on Instagram, obviously a link to that is in the description below. You would have seen Monday's post was a little bit of kind of stats and details on Simona's career. But she has competed in 69 races. She's her longest serving team in the series was HVM. She had a best result of 4th, which she achieved twice in the series, and her best Indy 500 result is 14th. Her first race was at Sao Paulo in 2010, and her last race was the 2015 Indy 500, where she raced with Paretta Autosport. So, Paretta Autosport are definitely getting an experienced driver.
Yep, but the question is, were her talents mainly suited for road and street circuits?
That is obviously Simona's strength. Obviously, only a best finish of 14th at the Indy 500 doesn't set the world alight, especially compared to a couple of other names on this list.
They've still got in the top half.
But, yeah, she definitely feels...
Take positives.
And with Team Penske as well. If the Penske outfit is great at the 500 this year, she's going to have a really good opportunity to do well.
This will definitely be her best bet for the Indy 500. Because no one gets anywhere near the quality of Team Penske.
I mean, they have a record 18 Indy 500s. So that speaks for itself.
As a winning machine, Team Penske's where it's at.
Yeah, essentially. Go from there. But that is Simona. They're definitely getting an experienced driver. I think she's the best one that they could have got of female drivers available with IndyCar experience. I quite like Alex Powell and Emma Kymäläinen from the European scene. But I think definitely Simona has the ability and experience to give a good platform for Paretta's.
Yeah. She's not a rookie.
Back into it. No, she's not a rookie. Absolutely. Right. Next one up, Stephen. Over to you.
Next up, we have Pippa Mann from Britain. Her first race was the 2011 Indy 500 with the fantastic team Conquest Racing.
Definitely didn't make the worst teams last week.
Definitely not. Just maybe not check out, but check out last week's video. She finished 20th in her first attempt at the Indy 500. She's had 16 races in her career. Longest serving team was a part-time ride with Dale Coyne Racing, whom she secured her best career result of 13th twice. Best result in the 500 was in her last run-in and last race in 2019, finishing 16th. So you can clearly see she's on a level slightly below Simona, but bit less experience, only 16 races in her career.
Yeah, and she never got to have a full season.
Yeah.
Where obviously Simona, through HVM racing, got full-time seat.
Had a bit of a better platform.
Yeah, and obviously IndyCar is definitely a series. And what was our quote last week? She's Fernando'd it.
Fernando'd it.
She did a bit more than Fernando because she did more races than just the 500. But yeah, when you part-time seat, I think it's very difficult, especially with the quality and caliber of driver in IndyCar, to make a real impact without having a full season under your belt, really kind of get in with the team and find those setups that are really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Next on the list, driver number 3 is Catherine Legg, another British-born driver. She started her career in Champ Car and she had 2 full seasons. I believe by that stage it was exclusively road and street courses. Should have looked that up, but I'm convinced. But her first race was in Long Beach. She's raced in 39 races across her career, both in Champ and IndyCar. Her best Champ Car result was 6th, which she achieved twice, so pretty impressive there. And her best IndyCar result was 9th. Definitely a road and street course specialist, coming from Europe, coming from England. There aren't many ovals about, and there certainly aren't ovals that people race on.
Yeah.
Certainly on that front. So obviously, naturally, her strength was always probably going to be the road and street courses to impress on that one. And that's reflected. Her best 500 result was 22nd, and her last race in IndyCar was the 2013 Indy 500. So yeah, Catherine has gone into sports car racing since then. She's stage racing in American. She's won races in that category. So, clearly talented on that front. But yes, she's recovered from injury and probably wasn't an option for that Paretta Autosport scene.
No, she only came back very recently, wasn't it? Late 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah. Those are like our 3 active female drivers with Indy experience, aren't they?
Yep, they are. So we now move into, the kind of the next batch is kind of 2000s. I know Catherine Legg started kind of that era with being in Champ Car as well. But yeah, we now go from there. And what better one to start off with, Stephen, than
the most successful female IndyCar driver, Danica Patrick. As I just said, she was the most successful female driver on this list, and her first race was in 2005 for Rahal Lemon Racing at Homestead Miami Speedway. She competed in 114 races with 3 pole positions and her best career result of a victory in the Indy Japan 300. Her longest serving team was Andretti, whom she had 5 full-time seasons with a best championship finish of 5th in 2009. She also had a best place finish at the Indy 500 of 3rd in 2009. Her last race was an Indy 500 entry with Ed Carpenter Racing in 2018. And that didn't go as well.
No, it didn't go as well. I just say, I think she was like 30th or something like that. She wasn't great. So I thought it was best not to highlight the fact, but Stephen wanted to highlight the fact that, I was like, Danica, she's great. She's done a great job. Brilliant. Well done. She's the most successful female in IndyCar history, but you want to bring up that you wanted to end on your kind of little speech on her of her finishing 30. So well done. Well done, Stephen. But no, honestly, Danica Patrick, she
I had to be called out.
She'd been to NASCAR. She'd been to the dark side. Or the light side, depending on considering that that's the major motorsport in America.
But a very strong career there. Top 5 in the championship, 3rd in the Indy 500, and an IndyCar race winner.
Only female to ever get a podium in the Indy 500, and incredible.
And 3 poles. Not too shabby at all. Very impressive career, but of course she is now retired, and obviously she couldn't be tempted out of retirement.
No. Well, in fairness, it's been a while, and clearly it showed in 2018. I think that's the perfect. She tried to Fernando it in 2018. just appear for the 500. It's going to be the catchphrase on the channel. Don't Fernando it. I mean, I love Fernando Alonso, but I just
don't Fernando it.
Yeah, I think you got to commit to the full season. When she was committing full season, she was doing well, and obviously on her ability, she was right up there. With the top guys within the series. But yeah, obviously that break, going over to NASCAR, coming back.
With Ed Carpenter Racing.
I think she's been a bit on NBC Sports as well. So
yeah, she's on the commentators, isn't she?
Yeah. So I think she's quite happy to kind of go into that stage of career.
Yeah.
But no, well done, great stuff.
We've reached the peak.
We have reached the peak, so it's only down from it. No. That's come on now, Steve.
Well, I did specifically say it's not downhill from now.
Come on,
I was just stating we were at the peak.
Come on now. No, but let's hear. Well, next up on the list is an interesting one because also experienced Sarah Fisher. Is the next one on the list. She had an 83 race career spanning over 11 years with 1 pole position. Her first race was at Texas with Team Pelfrey, and her career best result came as 2nd in 2001. So close to that victory. A note on Danica, she's the only female to ever win a classified IndyCar race, so big achievement for her as well. But yes, 2001 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Again, that Speedway popping up. Her best result at the Indy 500 was 17th for the team she now owned, called Sarah Fisher Racing. And her last race would come at the Homestead Miami Speedway, again mentioned, in 2010. Fun fact, her team was also the team that gave Joseph Newgarden his debut.
And he's had a pretty decent career.
I mean, he's a 2-time Indy car champion now. So
yeah, pretty
good.
Pretty good claim to fame there.
Yeah. So yeah, Sarah Fisher, obviously, she then converted into that kind of drive for my team, then just solely became team owner once I retired. And then I think 2015 is where Ed Carpenter kind of took over, or that might have been a season where they were Sarah Fisher and Carpenter racing, and then it's just become Ed Carpenter as Sarah Fisher pulled out. But another experienced name, obviously been around the sport. 83 races in 11 years wasn't too many, considering the amount of time. But I'd say definitely a solid performer, and obviously showed skill. They're getting a pole position. You have to have pace. You can't just fluke
it's
into
not
a pole
easy.
position.
Yeah, especially on a near spec series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is Sarah Fisher. Stephen, are you ready? Are you ready for the next one on the list?
No.
Okay, well, you're doing it anyway. Here we go.
Anna Beatrix is our next contender. Well, it's not really contender. It's just
it's just a list of the 10 drivers.
Portrait on the wall of the female IndyCar drivers' wall.
Yeah, okay. Let's go with that one.
Anna Beatrix. She competed in the series for 4 years, entering a total of 29 races. Her first 2 years would be with Drea and Rainbold Racing, and her first race would be her home GP in Sao Paulo, where she finished 13th. She had a best career result of 11th in Toronto and a best result of 15th at the Indy 500 at her last attempt with Dale Coyne Racing in 2013. Her last race was at Iowa with Dale Coyne as well.
Solid performer.
Yeah.
Part-time seat. Never really...
Only 29 races in 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think by this stage, Danica's setting the bar pretty high.
She's kind of blasted everyone off.
Yeah, so now people are going, well, we're going to give a full-time seat. That's the standard.
Danica?
Oh, right, yeah, no, sorry. I was like, she's in America, we're in the UK. How is Danica here? She can't get across those kind of COVID restrictions.
I was curving my eyesight around the world.
Weird. Okay, let's roll with it. Anna Beatrix. Decent job. Again, Another one more suited to kind of road course. We know the Brazilians aspire to kind of Senna.
Yep.
He was the top mark. So that's always going to be the guys that they aspire to be. But who knows? There might be some Helio Castroneves and TK, Tony Kanaan fans coming up through the ranks in years to come.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. Next one is... I'm not entirely sure how to say this, so I'm going at Milka Dano. I think that's how you say her name. Venezuelan. She again competed in IndyCar for 4 years, had 43 races across this time, so more races than Anna Beatrix. Her first race was at Kansas in 2007 with Samax Motorsport, another illustrious and great team from last week's episode. long IndyCar history.
Definitely did make the top 5 worst teams.
Long history. Where she would get 14th in her first race.
Was that the top best result?
Nope. The team's best result was that season an 11th, also obviously secured by Milka. And that was at Texas. Her best result, Indy, would be 19th, where she would do that in 2008. And her last race was in 2010 with Dale Coyne at the Homestead Miami Speedway. There it is again. Homestead. Well, obviously it was the season finale.
Sue's back. Back again.
But, well, as it was the season finale, it probably was natural that it probably was going to be there. But Milk also came under some criticism. She also had a confrontation with Danica Patrick. One stage, a blocking. I think that was back in 2008. But yeah, she was received criticism for being slow and blocking. And in 2010, she was actually put on probation.
Okay.
So quickly moving on.
Next driver.
That was Milka. Wait. Okay, so Lindsay James. There we go, Stephen.
Lindsay James.
Venezuela.
Lindsay James had a career that spanned over 8 years in car and IndyCar, competing in 16 races. Her first race was in 1992 with Dick Simon Racing, where she would finish 11th at the Indy 500. And coincidentally, that would be her best finish at the race. Her best career result was in the first IRL race at Walt Disney Speedway, where she would finish 8th. Her last race was the 2000 Indy 500. Going out on a bang.
In St. James. Third British driver on the list. Look at us Brits. We just keep coming over. Woo! Brit invasion. Come at you, IndyCar. In fairness,
Second War of Independence.
Why would you say that?
The British are coming.
That was really bad relations between the country. Why would you say that?
Well, we're invading IndyCar.
Are we?
Jack Harvey, it's our next general.
Now you're going to get Jack Harvey hated. We like Jack.
We sent a Jedi to defeat them.
Yeah, well, there you go.
This video.
Yes, but Lynn St. James, I hope you don't want serious content on this channel because that's not what you're going to get. Yes. Right, okay, so Lynn St. James was the kind of last of the modern-ish era. She was still in the car.
Her last race was in 2000, the Indy 500. So
yeah, so she was IRL still.
Last 2 decades.
Yeah. But yeah, she was more the kind of prospect of the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Definitely coming back from that one. I think she did actually compete maybe a couple full seasons in the IRL. But it was difficult. What was she? 16 races? Probably not, actually. But anyway, next one up. A legend of motorsport, probably, is Desire Wilson. She competed in IndyCar races between 1982 and 86. 82 and 83, technically not, because she didn't qualify for the Indy 500 in those years. And on her third attempt, she didn't qualify either. So in a time, she is the one female on this list who never competed at the Indy 500.
Wow.
Just no thing. It's hard. It's tough to qualify for the Indy 500.
It's difficult.
It is. But, she never did it. But, no criticism. That started off badly. She's a good driver. Her first race in Cleveland, though, her first race was in Cleveland, and it was her career best result of 10th in 1983. So competed a couple of races across this period. Actually, 1985, I think she didn't compete, and whatever. But it was on and off in this period. I think Formula One was the main desire and had been the main push, and that obviously is where it comes in. She's one of 10. Like we said, women to compete in IndyCar, but she's one of 5 women to also compete in Formula One. And although not an official classified race, I think it was F1 Aurora class. It was a Grand Prix at Brands Hatch. I might have got that Aurora thing completely wrong. People go like, Aurora? What are you going on about? But we'll see. But anyway, she's got a stand named after her at Brands Hatch. Very local to us, almost local. Track, because she won the race.
She won the race. I
got there in the end. Sorry, was there meant to be something there? But basically, incredible feat. At a time where it was rare for females to compete. She got to the 2 top single-seater. She competed in the 2 top single-seater series.
Impressive. Very impressive.
So very impressive. But yeah, that's Desire. But we end, Stephen. On the original.
The trailblazer.
The trendsetter.
The door opener.
Yes. That is...
Dun, dun, dun! Janet Guthrie. Janet was the first woman to qualify for the Indy 500 and Daytona 500. She didn't just do one of the biggest races in the world. She did 2 with the Daytona 500. Incredible.
Fun fact about Daytona 500, she finished 9th and was the Rookie of the Year that year as well. So very impressive. Set the world alight. And I believe the Winston Cup was where she had the majority of her career. The IndyCar thing, she didn't compete in the series. It was mainly just the 500.
Fun fact. She also qualified in 3 times for the Indy 500 in 1977, 1978 and 1979, with a best result of 9th in 1978. She also failed to qualify in the 1980, that would be her last attempt at the 500. but 2 top 10s in 500 and Daytona 500. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, she's opened the door. First woman to compete in IndyCar, and I believe she was the first woman to compete in NASCAR too. I've done that. She's the first to qualify for both races, so that's the amazing thing as well. And that's the type of thing that inspires people, inspires a generation. And the fact that it wasn't that she got there and she did okay. She did there and got top 10 finishes.
She wasn't making up numbers.
Yeah.
She was there to compete.
Yeah, she was being competitive and she did well. Which, incredibly impressive with Janet. And certainly a legend, probably the way that it goes down as for her. But that is the top 10. Not top 10. There have only been 10. The 10 women to have competed in IndyCar. I hope you've enjoyed those kind of little brief overviews of their careers. We may do kind of some deeper dives. As always, you guys are throwing some fantastic video suggestions in the comments. We are getting round to them. Obviously, we're just rounding off, obviously, the Who Is series we try to do every couple of weeks. And then it will be every couple of weeks a history video. And we've got the last part of our history of IndyCar coming out this week. IndyCar Part 5, the new golden era?
Question mark?
Ooh, we'll see. But yeah, we're talking about IndyCar now from 2008 to present day. But yeah, that's it from us. Let us know who your favourite female driver of all time has been, who's inspired you the most. If you are a female watching this, who is the driver that most excited you on the racetrack, and anyone else, just let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway from this video, though, is that women can compete in IndyCar on a competitive level. Compared to other open wheel series, I think IndyCar are leading the way in terms of equality. I know, okay, we've covered the 10 female drivers that have competed in IndyCar, and that's nowhere near the amount of men drivers that have competed. So there's still a gap. But the fact that they're getting the opportunities, and that's hopefully inspiring, as we say, a generation to come through the grassroots, that should all trickle through to see more female drivers in IndyCar.
Yeah, and I think motorsport is fantastic for, it can be a real trailblazer for equality and diversity in sport, because something like running, football, rugby, for example, the NFL, you can't get men and women compete because of the physiological differences. That's makeup, that's in the DNA, that's just how it works. That's no criticism, and there's no effect from there. So you can't put them together because the differences in that would be, where in motorsport, they can compete on the same playing field. And, Danica's proven that. She came close to winning the 500 a couple of times as well, and she's won a race, and she's competed out there. She's proven that you are capable of achieving and being up there with the best, which, like I said, is inspiring to do. We'll see as it keeps going, as it keeps developing. But the Paretta Autosport announcement was obviously good to have another kind of female-led team returning to the sport. I think we haven't had one since Sarah Fisher left. And seeing Simona return, an experienced driver, it hasn't been there since 2015, but obviously natural pace. It will be her best opportunity with a Team Penske backed unit. Like we said, Penske 500, Penske IndyCar equals wins. Said, not saying that she'll go on to win it, but she'll definitely have a good opportunity to better that best result of 14th, shall we say.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. We'll round it off now. We've taken enough of your time. We hope you've enjoyed hanging around with us from this front. So if you're new around here or you haven't done so already, Stephen, what can they do?
You can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it. It was there in the corner. Ding it. And then go down and subscribe to it now. No, you can't see it. It'll come up on screen.
Well, you're pointing down there, so I wasn't sure.
No, it's not down there. Don't.
I can't see it.
Let's end this. So you Indy fans, keep racing.